Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. Today I wanted to show you a fun card. It's one of the Colorable Create cards from Crafter's Companion, and I turned it into a shaker flip card. Thought that was a lot of fun, and let me show you how I did it. So start with, this is a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and I cut it down to 7 inches high, and then just scored it in half. So it's actually 5.5 by 7. Score it down the middle. Now we're going to take our die set, which comes in the 2 pieces. It's got the cutout die and then the frame die. So start with just the cutout die. We're going to put it right in the middle. So I'm going to put it right in the middle, or as close to the middle as I can get. So I'm going to use my glass mat. And I know it's got to go somewhere about there. And it needs to go about 1.5 inches up, I think, from the bottom. And then just centered that way, that way. Let's see, that looks pretty close. It needs to come down just a hair. Okay. That's pretty close. And then when you put the tape on, you want to try and tape it on the part that's going to cut away, just in case the tape rips the card. And now when you cut it, you don't want to cut through both pieces. So you got to open this up, which means I got to use my bigger machine. So I'm going to run that through the Gemini. As you can see, I use my double-sided plates. I've found with most dies, if they're not too intricate, you can use your double-sided plates and your 2 clear cutting plates, and it saves your cutting plates from warping too bad. Just like the Sarah was saying, you can use the metal fabric plates. Well, you can also use your double-sided plates. Okay, now the next piece is kind of the tricky part. So to get it to do this, you got to score. So when you cut the frame, you only want to cut the frame on half of it. So you want to position the frame around and get it in place. That's where I want it. Tape it on there. Now, I only want it to come halfway. So, how do you do that? Well, you use your cutting plates in a little bit different way. So now, if I take my Gemini Junior sized cutting plates and I position this on the here so that only the part that I want to cut is between the 2 plates. Right there. Just put a little pencil line. You can always rub it out later. Okay. Now you want to position your paper so that the cutting plates are just right at that pencil line, but no further. And where the cutting plate, it will only cut where you've got the cutting plates. And then I'm going to go ahead and tape that down to make sure that it doesn't move. 1 is probably enough. I'm going to put my other clear cutting, or my other double-sided plate, exactly on top of that one. And run that through the Gemini. Okay, now when we remove our plates, you'll be able to see it only cut through the section where the 2 junior double-sided plates were. And that'll give us our fold back. Okay, now when we remove that die, as you can see, it only cut through that one section. So let me rub out my pencil marks. Now we're going to score. So let me get my little scoreboard. And you're going to score right at that mark, which was at 2 3/4. And you're just going to score up to the cut. And I didn't get it 100% straight. You can see that that cut's not right up to the end. So I'm just going to use my little snips and finish that cut off. Okay. Now you want to fold this part back, but leave that frame where it's at. And score it. And now you've got, let me bone folder and give it a good burnish, because the running through the Gemini a couple times kind of flattened that. And now you've got the basics of the card. So now you want to create the shaker element. And as you can see, I stamped and colored on both sides. Well, this is the reverse of the stamp, so you got to reverse stamp that. So I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to start by stamping this one on the front, which is the easy one. And that looks really good. Okay. Magnets out of the way. Okay, so there's the first one. So now you don't want to stamp on here because that's where I put the glitter card, and I've actually got this stamp on the outside. So I cut another one just out of plain white cardstock. You can see it's the same as that, but I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to stamp on the back side. But then obviously that's not going to line up because when I put the stamp on there, it's backwards. So let me show you how I did that. So I put my stamp on here. I got a little piece of silicone. This is actually, I cut from, it's just like a silicone mat that I bought off of Amazon. It's just a super thin piece of silicone. Let me move this over so you can see. So that's stuck on there. Lay this on there. Because I got to get it positioned in the right place. So you want the piece of silicone underneath so that the entire stamp fits on that piece of silicone. There, that looks good. Press that down. You can use your magnets if you want, but I don't think I need it. It's pretty well stuck on there. Actually, I'm going to just stick a little piece of adhesive, top and bottom, just to kind of keep it from moving around. Now, you're going to ink up your stamp just like you normally would, but you're going to stamp onto the silicone. Push it down really good, just like you would on a cardstock. When you open it up, you can just barely make it out. So I'm going to put another coat on. And this method isn't perfect. It doesn't give you nearly as crisp or as dark of a impression, but it does work. I'll transfer as much of that ink onto the silicone as I can get. There, you can kind of see it. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm just going to lay it on top and get it as centered as I can. And then push it down. You want to try and transfer the ink from the silicone onto your cardstock. So just kind of hold it in place, because if you slide it around, you're going to get it smeared. And just rub all over where the ink would be. And then peel it up. And there you go. You've now got the reverse stamp. And now I can color those two stamps in, and then I'll show you how I did the rest of the card. Okay, so I'm done coloring those. Didn't do as good a job on that one, but that's all right. So now to make the shaker, as you can see, the shaker's on the back part, because if you put it on the front, then it's not going to flip as easily. So to make the shaker part, you're going to put this together with that. But I layered, like I said, I layered these with some glitter card on the inside, just so that if they show through, you're not seeing the alcohol coloring on the back side. So to do that, this one I just cut normally, and then to do the one for the back of this, it has to be flipped. So when you cut this, you want to cut it from the back so that the front side is actually mirrored. And I'll show you how that works. So if you just cut the frame and the regular die, just like normal, but instead of cutting on the front of the glitter card, cut on the back of the glitter card. Tape it into place. Run it through my junior. And with this one, because of the glitter card, what I did, because I told you I used my double-sided plates instead of my normal sandwich, I throw my metal shim in there and run it through my junior. And since it is glitter card, I usually flip it over and run it one more time. And then, as you can see, that cut right through. So peel that away. And now, as you can see, I got one cut each direction. So this is going to go on the back of that one. So let's glue that up. Just get my tacky glue. And that'll line up just perfectly on the back side. Just like that. And you're going to do the same thing with this one. Get it all lined up. Perfect. Okay, now you got two, and you're going to sandwich those two in the middle. And we need some acetate. So I used my outside die to cut 2 pieces of acetate. Here's my 2 pieces of acetate. Now to connect this onto the glitter card, what I used was red liner tape, but on the first one. Okay. Now I'm just going to sandwich my shaker bits between those two with some foam tape. All in there. And there you go. Now there's just matting and layering to do. Now the challenge is to mat and layer this one, but I'm going to show you a little trick that I found. Okay, so the best way I found to do the mats and layers on this, because I wasn't so good at measuring and cutting with my craft knife, which you can do, but I just line the die up and then kind of slide, while holding the die, slide that piece of paper under, get it where it needs to go, tape it on there, hold it on the other side, slide that piece of paper under, get it lined up where it needs to go, tape it, and then run it through the Gemini. And that should give us the perfect mats and layers. So that one goes on the front, right on there. And that one goes right there. Perfect. Now I'm just going to glue this together, and then you can add in a sentiment however you want. I'm going to put a sentiment with a place to sign on the inside. And I found especially on the mats and layers, a wet glue is the easiest because you got to kind of slide it in. Unless you put the mats and layers on before you do all the shaker stuff. You got to slide it in there, and so a wet glue is perfect because you can kind of wiggle it around to get it perfect right where it needs to go. All lined up. And you're all done. And there you go. A nice shaker element with a flip. And you've got that glitter card underneath in case you see through, you can't see your coloring on the inside. Hope you enjoyed that. Have fun. Have a good day. Bye.